once again for another beautiful Shabbat day. Giving all praise to the saints and to those who have labored in the work of the Most High God. As always, we always say, blessing to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered abroad. As Apostle Paul says, or as Shaul says, to the Yahudim first, then to the nations. Blessing and honor to be here today. I pray this word is effective for everybody that's here today. But the word is also effective to those who might watch on YouTube or Facebook or whatever means of social media. We are in a unique time to be alive today. We are in a very unique time. Some of our elders, great-grandparents, grandparents, great-grandparents lived in the era of World War II. Some lived in the era of World War I. Some lived in the era of the Vietnam War. But specifically, when we have global wars, we have kings rushing to the battlefield, we should know who's at the helm. Right? We should know that the Almighty is dragging these nations together on the battlefield. And it has everything to do with the return of Christ, the return of the Messiah, and all of the people who are under his name to be ready to roll. But that's not the message for today. So I just, but while everybody's sleeping in their bed, all comfortable and good, bombs are flying. People are dying, and I'm not for sure which trumpet. We'll look at it later. But one of the trumps or one of the seals being opened in the book of Revelation, that we have the prayers of the saints going up. And I can promise you this: if last night, I'm sure there were praying going on. Bombs flying over my head. People getting blown up all to pieces. So, but with that being said, our topic for today, our message for today is a greater exodus, the return of the tribes, and a celebration in the new kingdom.
Hallelujah.
Okay? A greater exodus, the return of the tribes, and a celebration in the new kingdom. We talked about this obviously every year going through Passover, that Messiah, that Yeshua, that Christ did not drink certain cups because he's not going to do it till we're in the kingdom, till he is established, till he has subdued all his enemies, as the prophets have said. And there are some things that must happen before that happens. We're going to talk about that today. And this should be fresh on our minds. We are making our way to Pentecost or to Shavuot, but we just came out of Passover. We just came out of unleavened bread. So a lot of these things should still be kind of fresh on our mind, still fresh in our spirit, even though the world is wicked. Right? Even though the world is wicked. All right. Look at our first slide here. All right. Vayikra, or the Davarim, Davarim 6 or Deuteronomy 6, right? The V'yahav. We said this in our prayer earlier. Okay. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. Okay? And in Deuteronomy 6:6, and these words, okay? And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt talk to them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy what? Hand. So before the word is attached to the house, we talked about the mezuzah, the side and the top, where the blood went during Passover. Right? But this must be a sign on your hand. These words. What is the sign? And these words should be a sign on thine hand, and they shall be as the frontlets between thine eyes. So your mind. So the word should be here and here. What you put your hands to should represent the kingdom of God. Your mind should be about the kingdom of God. This is a part of our relationship. This is a part of our agreement that we agreed to. Okay. It shall be when the Lord, well, I'll skip the verse. Sorry. Frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them upon the post of thine house and on the gates. So this is supposed to be on your body or our what? Temple. Because our body is a temple. Okay? So it should be, the word should be on our physical house, but it should be in your earthly house. On your earthly house. Right? It's a sign to show who you belong to. Because we know in these end days, which we are in today, that the adversary will make sure there's a plan that you get marked. And then what we're told in Revelation, that you are to be marked on your forehead and on your hands. I wonder why. Well, I guess because Yah wanted to claim you first. God wanted to claim you first. But the adversary says, no, I'm going to claim you. So I got to mark you. Okay? And it shall be, when the Lord thy God shall have brought thee into the new land, which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities, which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things, which thou fillest not, and wells dig, which thou diggest not, vineyards and olive trees, which thou plantest not. When thou shalt have eaten and be full, then beware lest thou forget the Lord which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage.
Thank you.
So we go through Pesach, we go through Passover, we go through unleavened bread, and from that we get our hero Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. We want to be one with Him. And then from that we get, and you shall love, you shall love Him. And the crux of this is that I brought you out of Egypt. Never to forget that. So we keep Passover today for a variety of reasons, but one of the main staples is that I brought you out of Egypt.
Right.
And here we are in 2018. In the Word, we'll look at it today, that there's a bigger one than this. And your Redeemer said, I ain't going to drink with you till this happens. We're going to dig in it today. Hope y'all don't mind digging. All right, Matthew 10. Turn to Matthew 10. It'll be in verse 1. Matthew 10 and 1. Give me a hallelujah whenever you get there. Don't leave nobody behind. Matthew 10. Start in verse 1. Because we got to understand, things that are important to God got to be important to you.
Amen.
Religion, systems, people, they don't matter.
Amen.
System, religion, other people, it don't matter. Whatever is important to God, it has to be important to you. We got to make that match. Everybody there, Matthew 10 and 1?
Yes.
Okay. And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out, and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Now the names of the 12 apostles are these. The first, Simon, who was called Peter, Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew, or the publican, James the son of Alphaeus and Labius, whose surname is Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. These 12 Jesus set forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into the city of the Samaritans, enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I'm sorry, say it again. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. This is important. So at the time of God being in the flesh on earth, the manifestation of His presence in the body, Jesus, Yahshua, He says, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Don't go anywhere else. That's what you got to do first. Now when they get there, what are they supposed to say? And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Then what are we supposed to do? Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give. And as we've been starting to say here lately, only thing you got to pay for the gospel is what? Attention. That's all you got to pay. Only thing you got to pay for the word is attention. So He made it pretty clear that to go to the house, to the lost sheep and house of Israel, why? The kingdom of heaven is at hand. We've talked about this before. We have the kingdom of God and we have the kingdom of heaven. Two separate. Kingdom of God, he's very clear, is where? From within. The kingdom of heaven comes down like a big old mountain, crushes all these establishments and all these societies and all these groups and all these governments and all this. It's going to come there and crash and crush all of it. That's the kingdom of heaven. So he's telling the Israelites to get ready. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Now we can walk out them doors and we can still see earth as we know it. So it ain't here yet. So it was so important that when he begins his work, he says, go to the Israelites, tell them the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, those who have leprosy, raise the dead, cast out devils. Now, we know that these things actually happen, they're real, but we also know some people are walking up and down these streets, jumping, skipping, driving, and they dead as a doornail.
Dead men walking, amen.
They're the walking dead. They are zombies. Right? So we know that there is a physical, that physically happened, but we know spiritually. Spiritually, people have leprosy. Spiritually, people are sick. So he takes us to the Israelites first. Okay? So the start, so we're talking about the start of the regathering. So the start of the regathering of Israel started when Messiah said these words. That's when it first started. It's not over, clearly. But the beginning of it, this is when it started. Okay? And as we said, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Very important. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Start in Isaiah 53. Isaiah 53. We'll start in verse 1. We'll read that chapter. Isaiah 53. All right, Isaiah 53, let's look at verse 1. Let's start there. Who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He hath no form, no comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. So we're getting a word from the prophet about someone who God will bring up like a young plant, and you ain't gonna think nothing about it. You get up, you go to the mailbox every day, you see all kind of plants. It's that season time change. You get up, you go to the mailbox and throw your trash out. You see little plants and stuff. You don't think nothing about it, right? We got little cannons and what you call them things, Kelly? Hostas and cannons and Isises and all the little things starting to pop up out the ground, and you don't think nothing about it. But that was the plan of him, that in something very simple, not no big, boisterous, something very simple, that there was going to be, verse 3, he is despised. There's no beauty in him. He don't stand out like a Saul. People love Saul.
Tallest one in the bunch.
Tall, handsome man. That's got to be him. Handsome, good-looking fella. Is he single? He said no. Simple. That little plant right there. You done mowed it over with your lawnmower 4 or 5 times already. You done whacked with the weed if you ain't paid it no attention. Verse 3. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, as we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. What did he tell them to do? To go to the house of Israel so that they may receive healing. All we like sheep. Go to the who? The lost sheep. Okay, just making sure the word tie up. That's all. Just make sure the word tie up. Have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. So he had a plan worked out. So when we say the regathering of Israel started when Messiah said these words, we can see why now. Because the prophet already spoke. Isaiah was around during Hezekiah time, and where the king was before him and king after him. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He was brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as sheep before the shears is dumb. So he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. He has made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he hath done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. He shall see the travail of his soul. He shall be satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many.
Thank you.
Yah's perfect plan.
Amen.
Yah's perfect plan. For he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great. He shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he hath poured out his soul into death, and he was numbered with the transgressors, and he bare the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. Amen. So the prophet has said that there will be one that he's going to receive this great portion. So I wonder why, is this why Christ makes statements when he says, you know, I've been given all things. And then we repeat things like, well, we want to rule and reign with him. Well, it was already said. Isaiah 53:12, it was already said. He shall divide the spoil with the strong. Hopefully we will be part of the strong ones. Right? Blessed are those who overcome.
And endure.
Right? We got to endure all things, all temptations, to be able to rule and reign with him like a king and a queen. Or what we would know as the bride of Christ. Okay. Let's look at slide 4 here. So, Deuteronomy 30. 30 and verse 1. We're looking 1 and 4. And it shall come to pass. I got that highlighted. We're going to look at this just in a second. And it shall come to pass. Deuteronomy 30. And it shall come to pass, and all these things will come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations. You will remember the blessing and the curse. Okay, remember that. Whether the Lord thy God hath driven thee. So wherever God has cast you, or drove you, or pushed you, or tossed you, or blew you, you will begin to remember at a certain point in time. And shall return unto the Lord thy God, and shall obey his voice, according to all thy command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart, with all thine soul. Then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations where the Lord thy God hath scattered thee. Very important, that he will return and gather thee from all the... So, even though they came out of Egypt, this is Deuteronomy, they've came out of Egypt. This is the last book of the Torah. This is before they go into the promised land. This is before, but he is telling them that something will happen. There will be a course of events throughout time. And at a certain point in that time, you will remember who you are and where you're supposed to be going. Amen. And all your energy, your heart and mind, and then your hands will start to get back to things of God. And then God says, when that happened, I will come and I will gather you. What did he say again in Matthew 10? Go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Don't go nowhere else. We got business to handle. That's of my Father's will. So he says, he will gather thee from all nations, verse 3, whither the Lord thy God has scattered thee. And if any of thine be driven out to the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will the Lord thy God gather thee, and from thence he will fetch thee. So no matter how far you're at, no matter where you're at, no matter what, he says, I'm going to come get you. So this is not talking about when he came into Egypt, right? We celebrate that for Passover. He came in, he showed up, he showed out. Got them out there with great signs and wonders and plagues and pulled them out. This is something different. So you got to qualify for this come home party. See, the first time he did it, I had a relationship with Abraham. And then Abraham, I ain't gonna jump too far. Let me stick to the script. I'll start getting excited. My bad. Let me stay on roll. Now, and this shall come to pass. We see this all times in our Bible. And this shall come to pass. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 English letters is that one Hebrew word right there highlighted at the bottom. Now, we've talked about this before. Hayah, which means what?
To be.
To be. Place, time, any object. So, v'hayah is and it shall come to pass. So that means time, place. Specifically in this structure of the text, time. So at some point in time, all these things are going to come upon you, the blessing and the curse. So the things that have been recorded in Genesis through Deuteronomy, at some point of time, they will come back to you. And you're going to start thinking. You're going to start thinking. Festival days, the weekly Shabbat, dietary laws, all these things that were ingrained in your DNA, they're going to get like fire started. And then the lights pop on. And at first they just kind of start flickering. They start flooding a little bit. They just start flickering a little bit. Because when the lights start coming on a little bit, you know what you can do? Man, you can see. When the lights start coming on, you can see a little bit. And then he says, but you got to return to me. You got to want me. All of me. And he says, man, if you do that, I'm going to come get you. And I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you somewhere. We know how serious about God is when he says, but hey, I'm going to come get you. I'm going to get you. And I'm going to take you from here to here. So it's got to be more than just, he took me somewhere, I got a job promotion. Right? We be stuck on that small stuff.
Come on.
You know, he took me, he took me over here and I got a new job. Yeah, but he's talking about here, no matter how far you are on the out parts of heaven, I'll come get you. That's going to be more than a job promotion.
That's it.
I got a chance to move from Jackson. I moved to Chattanooga. Oh! Okay. From one part of the state to the other. Okay. But he's talking big. We thinking small because we still ain't free in our mind. But that's another deal. Okay, I got to keep rolling. So hayah, to be, existence, and he's saying in a certain point in time these things will happen. He don't say when. He just says a certain point in time. Okay? But we know this is leading more towards the end than anything, more towards end time. Okay? All right, this is Baruch. Who is Baruch? He was real close with a prophet that we have in our Bible.
In Numbers.
Didn't Jeremiah have a friend? Okay, so Baruch was one of the captives in Jerusalem who was tight with Jeremiah. And this is something that he wrote. You know, just once again, anytime we can find, you know, books that they took out of, that they take out of the canon, the Catholic Church, who gave them power, I don't know, probably the dragon, but that's a whole other point. But when we find text that lines upon more text, we scratch our head and we say, why ain't this in my Bible? Now this is in your Latin Bible, but this ain't in my Bible. It's in the Ethiopian Bible, but this ain't in my Bible. I smell a rat. Baruch 2:29 through 30. If ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned to a small number among the nations, where I will scatter thee. Okay? For I knew that would be here. I knew that you would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. We've heard that before.
Ezekiel a lot.
And then what does he say? But in the land of their captivity, actually captivities, plural, more than one, they shall remember themselves. We just read that in Deuteronomy 31, didn't we? We just read that in Deuteronomy 30. But I guess if I was trying to keep somebody in the dark, I'd take that out too. That's actually a smart move. If I was trying to keep somebody in the dark, keep them in the basement, don't let them out the attic, I would do that too. That's actually a smart move. I can't even hate on it. Isaiah 9. Isaiah 9. But ain't that what all things that have been concealed, what does Christ say, will be revealed? Because you just can't, I mean, you just can't keep lying forever. You just can't be being a cheater and a liar forever.
No.
At some point you're going to get busted. Isaiah 9. Isaiah 9. Verse 1. Isaiah 9, 1, and it reads, Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as in her vexation, when at first he lightly afflicted the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward did more grievously affect her by the way of the sea beyond Jordan in the Galilee of the nations. Really quick, where did Christ start his ministry?
Galilee.
Galilee. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined.
Hallelujah.
Thou hast multiplied thy nation, and not increased the joy. The joy before thee according to the joy in the harvest, and as men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden, and the staff of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning of fuel of fire. For unto us a child is born, and to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. And his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end upon the throne of David, and upon his kingdom, to order it, and to establish it with judgment and with justice, from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. The Lord sent a word unto Jacob, and it hath lighted upon Israel. And when you read that, now you can understand in certain parts of the Gospels, and especially in Acts, they said, okay, are you going to restore the kingdom? Right? We get stuck up on 6 and 7.
Yeah.
That's ingrained in your head. But did you read the verses before that? That's a bad man right there. That's a bad mamma jamma right there. That's somebody I ain't trying to see it no nighttime. That's somebody I been here, take all I got. Take everything I empty out my whole pockets for. So we're talking about a bad mamma jamma coming to free the people.
Amen.
So of course they're going to say, well, shouldn't you be? When are you going to? So in other words, the prophets don't lie. So part of this part came to pass. A child was born. But this other part, the warrior part, that is to come. That'll be in our era. Get your popcorn ready. Get your snacks ready. Get your snacks ready. That's who we are going to come into contact with. The only question is, it says in Luke, are we found worthy enough to what? To stand before him.
And escape.
Right. He came, they mocked him.
Amen.
Because he was just a little bit old plant. That plant keep coming up. I done mowed that part of the yard 12 times. That thing kept shooting up. All right, let's keep going. Why he came? Why did he come? I mean, you can answer. You know.
To redeem us.
For redemption. Okay. What else? Anybody else? Bunch of sharp minds in here.
Restore the order.
To restore order. Anybody else?
Reconciliation.
To reconcile.
He is salvation.
He is salvation. Okay? Alright. 1 John 3 and 8. He that committeth sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. Right? Going back to what we know as Genesis 1 and 1. Right?
Destroy the works of the
For the purpose of the Son of God, for the purpose of the Son of God, for the purpose of the Son of God was manifested. So he had already been. Right? He didn't say born. He was already in existence.
Right.
But to become in the flesh, to walk in the, to drink water and eat some chicken like me,
Yeah.
he had to become manifested.
So many aspects.
Why? That he might destroy the works of the devil. Now we just read in Isaiah that the people sat in darkness. And he started his ministry in the Galilee. But in Isaiah 9 tells us specifically that Zebulun and Naphtali, they got touched first. Now, you know, people might, you know, somebody touch the chin a little bit. Touch the ribs a little bit. They got touched. That's where God touched them first. That's where the Assyrians first came in. That's where the light had to shine. But in the beginning, it was also darkness. It was wild. It was chaotic. So he had to be manifested to destroy the works of the devil, because he sinned in the beginning. Right before our Genesis 1:1. He was already a knucklehead. Okay? So the Son of God had to become a person, a human, to destroy the works of the devil. Okay? So Matthew 15:24, the lost sheep. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel, who's in darkness. And in that darkness, when that light hits the darkness,
Darkness got to flee.
It's got to flee. Okay, it's got to flee. Sure did. It's all right. Oh, my bad. Let's turn. Oh, sorry, Miss Bell. Turn to John. John. John, 1st chapter. All right, so we're talking about him being light and darkness to destroy the works of the devil, who needs darkness. See, darkness don't bother the Most High, because he said, we know he created darkness and light. He abides in both. It don't bother him, man. We the ones that's scared of the dark. Boogeyman gonna get you. Monsters up under your bed. Well, of course, you practice Halloween every year, don't you? You invite them in, don't you? You practice everything under the sun that ain't a Yah, that's wicked and corrupt. He said not to do. He sat there and told you, wherever you go, you're going to be like the other people, but if you turn to me, I got you. Well then, but you still stuck in the ways and the customs of the land that you're a slave in. You got a job, you still a slave. If you ain't worshiping how you're supposed to worship. Unless you choose to be. Unless you say, hey, I don't have nothing to do with God. So that's more acceptable to him. To just say, hey, I don't have nothing to do with the Bible. But when I say, I believe in Jesus. I believe in Jesus, but I don't nothing he said.
It's all done away.
That's all right. You worse. Anyway. John 1:5. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. So the more light you get in you, the more you're going to become a prick and a prod to people around you.
Right.
I hate to say that.
That's it.
But the more light you get in you, people can't stand you. And your phone won't stop ringing. People ain't going to eat lunch with you no more. Because every time they're around you, that light's shining out. And they don't understand why, when I get around them, do I get so aggravated. All I said was good morning. I gave you a hug. Spiritual. Spiritual. 1 Thessalonians. 1 Thessalonians, start at 2nd chapter. I messed y'all up. 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2. 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2. We've established that Messiah is the one that gathers. He's going to gather. But that means the people got to be gone again. Right? And he's not we're not celebrating this until then. Okay. 2 Thessalonians 2 and verse 1. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by the gathering together unto him. Okay. So he is the one, right, as we have in Matthew 15 and 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay? So this is the gathering. That's what Paul's talking about in 2 and 1 in 2 Thessalonians. To be unto him. Verse 13, same chapter. But we are bound to give thanks always to God for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because God hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth. Hope we caught that. But we are bound to give thanks always to God for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because God hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth. Now, close your eyes a bit. Now, what did 1 John 3 next say again? He that committeth sin is of the devil, for the devil sinned in the beginning. Time out. So in the beginning, he sinned. But then in 2 Thessalonians 2 and 13, God had already made a way for you then. That's book. That's what he said. We give thanks always to God for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because God hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation. This same beginning, it was already understood that this purpose of the Son of God was manifested to do what? Destroy the works of the devil, the ugly one. But in that same aspect, so he had a battle plan to defeat him and save you. I'm going to say it again. He had a battle plan to get rid of him and save you and use him to get you. And not just get Israel in, but get others in. That's pretty heavy. Amos 3rd chapter. Amos 3rd chapter. Amos 3. Verse 1. Amos 3 and 1. It reads, Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt. That's important to him now.
Yes.
Saying, You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. So I ain't know nobody else. So he said that, but we know when we read 2 Thessalonians that he already made a way. It just wasn't time to start prophesying it. That prophet, he had something else to talk about. The Lord gave him something else to talk to the knuckleheads. The problem is that we still a bunch of knuckleheads today. And it's worse because now we got the blood of the Lamb, don't we? Now it's actually worse. We have less excuses. But when you tell people, hey man, you don't have room for excuses, people get mad at you. They want to jump down your throat. Well, go ahead and jump. There's no time for excuses. Ezekiel 34. Ezekiel 34. We'll be in verse 1. Hallelujah whenever you get there. Ezekiel 34 and 1. No, we need to be shouting hallelujah. There ain't no bombs going off over here. Amen. Ain't no planes flying over my head dropping bombs off. Well, at least not yet anyway. At least not yet. Once again, man, you just can't run up on me and slap me upside my head. And then I say, okay, I'm going to let you make it this time. Then you run up on me and you slap me upside my head again. I got to see you. I'm going to drop bombs on another nation who voted for their president, like we vote for our president. I'm going to come see you. And we know who will open the door. Because we know Yah is just in all things. He's just. Anyway, Ezekiel 34 and 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, Thus saith the Lord God unto the shepherds, Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks? Ye eat the fat and clothe ye with wool, and ye kill them that are fed, but you feed not the flock.
Come on.
The diseased have ye not strengthened. I'm going to say it again. The diseased have ye not strengthened. Message.
Come on.
Neither have ye healed that which was sick.
Come on.
Message.
Mm.
Brother, give me Matthew 10.
Matthew 10 and
Matthew 10 and get to where what he specifically told them to do.
Mm.
oh yeah. See,
We're talking
oh
about
yeah,
sick.
yeah. I know,
lepers.
I know which one it is. It's
Matthew 10.
Matthew 10. But rather go out to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is it 16? See, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore, be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. No.
No, Matthew chapter 10.
Mm-hmm.
You probably be by verse 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Verse 8.
Yes. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons.
Heal the what?
Sick.
The diseased have you not strengthened, neither have ye healed that which was sick. Neither have you bound up that which was broken. Neither have you brought again that which was driven away. Now, how many passages have we read where the Almighty said, I'm going to drive you, I'm going to push you? And he said in Deuteronomy, under the farthest part of heaven, I'll come get you. So now we have another prophet saying, hey, you shepherds, you're terrible at your job. You're awful. You're awful at your job. So now the chief shepherd came later. And he gave specific words reiterating what had already been said.
Amen.
At one point in time. And this is going to happen again at another point in time. He said, I'm going to come get you. You have brought again that which was driven away. Neither have you sought that which was lost. The who? The lost sheep. He says, you have not went after those which are lost, but with force and with cruelty have you ruled them. That's why I say people in their minds not free. If you ain't free to get in this book, if people are not free to teach, if people are not free to teach what the word says, you ain't free. You are captive to a cruel master. Verse 5, and they were scattered because there is no shepherd. They became meat to all the beasts of the field, and they were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains and upon every high hill. Yea, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search or seek after them. Now, when it talks about them being on the high hills, what do we know that God would always say about people doing what in the high places? Right? And incense in the high places. So the sheep were wandering. They were wandering up these high hills. It was like, well, I ain't got no pastor set aside. My pastor, he right over there too.
Come on.
Because this passage is to who? It's to the shepherds of Israel.
Come on.
But see what people, and we're gonna go to that part, but there is a part where he specifically talks about the Israelites in diaspora. And how in the end he's going to judge all the teachers and preachers and shepherds. Some of them taught the word to the people in captivity. Some of them did. The ones who did, you come into my holy place. Those you didn't, get the word. My shepherd wandered through all the mountains upon every high hill. My flock was scattered all over the face of the earth, and none did search or seek after them. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. As I live, like, and that's when you be mad, you be say, man, who? Oh, my mama. He says, as I live, saith the Lord God, surely because my flock become a prey, my flock became meat to every beast of the field, because there was no shepherd. Neither did my shepherds search for my flock, but the shepherds fed themselves, fed not my flock. Is he talking about, in daytime, he talking about 2018? I'm confused. I don't know. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against the shepherds, and I will require my flock at their hand, and cause them to cease from feeding the flock. Neither shall the shepherds feed themselves any more, for I will deliver my flock from their mouth, that they may not be meat for them. For thus saith the Lord God, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out. He said he would. And we know what he said earlier in Deuteronomy. So then we get Messiah coming on the scene.
Amen.
He said, I'm for who? I'm for the lost sheep of the house of
The
Israel.
lost sheep. Come on.
So we know where that directed. We know where that order came from.
Hallelujah.
That's why the first thing I said was the things that are important to God, got to be important to you.
Important to us.
As the shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep. So visualize the field, and you got all these sheep, and you got the man there with a staff and all this stuff, and you got one sheep wandering off. He said the way that one sheep wander off, where that shepherd go get that sheep, he said that's how I'm going to be.
Amen.
But he was extra he said, no matter how far in the heaven you are, I'm going to come get you.
Thank you.
And will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. And I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the... Now we're getting specific. No more parallels and parables and riddles. I will bring them out from the people. I wonder if that's symbolic to the way the nation of Israel came out of Egypt that time. Somebody told me that story a long time ago. And then when they got to the water, there was Pharaoh chasing them, and there was the Egyptians chasing them, and there was sin, the bondage chasing them, and the water's here, and then death is coming this way. And he stretches the rod over the water, and then the water split. And they were able to pass by. I wonder if it's going to be like that. He said, I will bring them from out of the people and gather them from we would know it's a fact because he's done it before. If he didn't do it, he wouldn't be keeping Passover. And will bring them to their own land. And feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers and inhabited places of the country. I will feed them in a good pasture. Sounds familiar, don't it? I'll feed them in good pasture. We done heard that before, ain't we? Keep your finger on Ezekiel. Just give me ears right quick. Keep your finger on Ezekiel. We've heard that before. I know you have. John 10:8. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers. The sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enter in, he shall be saved. What will you do for them, Lord? And shall go in and out and find pasture. It's John 10:9. That's why he said that. Because he said, I told y'all that before. Y'all just weren't paying attention. This word is free. All you got to pay is attention.
Yes, sir.
Lost my fault. Space, help me out. What was that, 13? Where's that, y'all? 14? 14, pasture. Okay, I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. There shall lie a good fold in a fat pasture. They shall feed upon the mountains of Israel. I will feed my flock. I will cause them to lie down, saith the Lord. I will seek that which was lost and bring again that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick.
Come on.
But I will destroy the fat and the strong, and will feed them with joy. See, when we're not where you're supposed to be, you sick, you broken, you got leprosy, you got amnesia, you got dementia, you got all these spiritual ailments because you're not where you're supposed to be.
Lord have mercy. Thank you.
And he said, I'm going to come get you. In your disabled condition, I'm going to come get you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now we see, at one point, they were all in one place. Exodus. Right? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. Joseph, daddy little boy, favorite child. They can't stand him. Throw him in the ditch. Midianites pull him out. Ishmael takes him, sells him into Egypt. All of a sudden, time passed, years passed, famine comes. Pharaoh having dreams. All this stuff going on. Jacob and the family comes. They're under Joseph's protection. He's the prince. He's the viceroy. They're safe. They're good. And they prosper and they grow. And so they're all here in one spot. And he comes in and pulls them out. What makes this different is that we're not all in one place no more.
Amen.
We're not all in one place no more.
Yeah.
All over the earth, the four corners of the earth.
Amen.
Let's turn to Jeremiah 16. I'll read the scripture. Make sure I ain't making this up. Okay. I'm not making this up. I'm looking for me. He emailed him, talking about, brother, where you work at? Send me Facebook message. Where that man work at? Come your job, ask you questions. Come on, brother, we sit down and talk. Now, I got 14 and 15 of Jeremiah chapter 16. We're going to read, we need to read a little bit, chunk of this chapter to get the context of what God is saying. Okay, we don't want to pick out a little bitty piece. I don't like appetizers. My wife makes something good, I want a little piece. Give me a big old plate of it. Give me a whole plate. I don't want a little piece. Somebody come over and cook, I don't want a little bit. Give me the whole, let me get all of it. I don't get a little piece of it. All right, Jeremiah 16. We're going to start at 9.
Okay.
For thus saith the Lord God of the host, God of Israel, behold, I will cause to cease out of this place in your eyes and your days the voice of mirth, the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, the voice of the bride. It shall come to pass, when thou shalt show this people all these words, they shall say unto thee, wherefore hath the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? And what is our iniquity, or what is our sin we have committed against God, against the Lord our God? So people living good, and prosperity is going on, bankrolls tight, economy's good. And it's like, what you mean? Why you giving all these bad words to the Lord? Verse 11, then shalt thou say unto them, because your fathers have forsaken me, saith the Lord, and have walked after other gods, which they hadn't changed. Yeah, it hasn't. And have served them, and have worshipped them, and have forsaken me, and have not kept my law, my Torah, my instructions. And ye have done worse than your fathers, for behold, ye walk everyone after the imagination of his evil heart, and they may not hearken unto me. Therefore will I cast you out of this land, into a land that ye know not, neither ye nor your fathers, and there shall ye serve other gods day and night, where I will not show you favor. Where I will not show you favor. Well, you know, brother is talking about when Nebuchadnezzar and them came and took them to Babylon. Well, maybe. Let's look and see. Let's keep reading. Verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he hath driven them. I will bring them again into their own land that I gave unto their fathers. So, we're not going to talk about Egypt at some point in the future. Right now, we know for a fact we keep Passover and it's about Egypt, right? It's coming out of Egypt, coming out of sin, because we're in a renewed covenant through Christ. But the Word tells us that there will be a time where there was no more talking about Egypt. But it's going to be, we're going to be talking about how God brought us out of the north and from all the lands all over the earth. Verse 16, behold, I will send for many fishers. Behold, saith the Lord, and they shall fish for them. After will I send for many hunters. They shall hunt for them from every mountain and from every hill, and out of the holes of the rocks. For my eyes are upon all their ways. They are not hid from my face, neither is their iniquity hid from my eyes. We'll stop right there. I think I went too far. And first I will recompense their iniquity and their sin double, because they have defiled my land. They have filled my inheritance with the carcasses of the detestable and abominable things. O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall surely say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity and things that where there is no profit. Did the Babylonians say that? Do you know they were talking about Nebuchadnezzar and the Chaldeans? Did they say that? Do we have a report in any of the Babylonian manuscripts where they said, man, our daddy lied to us. We didn't inherit lies. Okay. I'm just curious. Shall a man make gods unto himself? They are no gods. Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know. I will cause them to know my hand and my might. They shall know that my name is Yahweh. 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 So you're going to know. Whatever tongue you speak, you're going to know. So we have this scenario here where we're going to worship something in another time in the future in the kingdom, because we know that there were certain cups he ain't take. I want to do this to what you are new. Is it because We're going to be celebrating a greater Exodus. This is going to substitute the redemption coming out of Egypt. So verse 14, the days come. I said, the days come. Some point in time. No more be said. It will no more be said that the Lord liveth, that brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, that brought the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from the land whither he had driven them. And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. That's very important. Let's turn to Jeremiah 23. It's so important. You know, this is so. If there was no more Shabbat, there were no more holy days. The way the book says, no more be said. That's how it would be like. No more keep the Sabbath. No more.
Real plain.
No more be said. He was pretty clear. No more be said about how we talk about how Yah brought us up out of Egypt. We're going to talk about how Yah brought us up out of the north and all the countries he drove us out. Jeremiah 23, starting verse 1. Woe be unto the pastors that destroy the scattered sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God of Israel against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doing, saith the Lord. I will gather the remnant of my flock out of the countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds. They shall be fruitful and increase. I will set up shepherds over them, and they shall feed them. They shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall it be lacking, saith the Lord. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, I will raise unto David a righteous branch. A righteous branch. What did we read in the prophets earlier? What did we read earlier in the prophets? That he was a tender shoot, tender plant.
Yes, sir.
But in this passage, he's a righteous branch.
Amen.
So, at one point, you know, I'm just a little lamb. I'm just a little bitty plant. Yeah, you can run me over with the lawnmower, the weed eater. That's okay. But there will be a day I'm going to be a strong branch. Righteous branch. And the king shall reign. Prosper, shall execute judgment, justice in the earth. In his days Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. All the tribes. And this is his name whereby he shall be called the Lord our righteousness. Therefore, behold, the days come to the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and led the seed of the house of Israel from the north country and from all countries whither I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. It's going to be big. Another Exodus. Are you ready? So it all boiled down to. Put in your notes Ezekiel 22:15 and Deuteronomy 4:26 and 30. Put that in your notes. And that just goes with this right here. Let's put that in your notes. It was Ezekiel 22:15 and then Deuteronomy 4:26 through 30. Okay, just put those in your notes. We got to look at the condition of Israel in Egypt. Okay, the condition of Israel in Egypt. Turn to Genesis 50. The condition of Israel in Egypt. I'm going to look at the pros and cons, all right, in Egypt. Number one, Yah sent them there. Amen. He sent them to Africa. All right. He sent them to Africa, all right. That's what he did. Sent them into Africa. We'll look at the pros and cons. So Genesis 50 and 22. And Joseph dwelt in Egypt, he and his father's house. And Joseph lived 110 years. And Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation. And Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation. And Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the third generation. And Joseph saw Ephraim's children of the... So we got some time in Egypt where things is good. Joseph's still alive. I know he didn't get fired. No, he didn't get fired. And then when he probably retired, he on the board. He on the board. 24. And Joseph said to his brethren, I die. What did he say with his last breath? and God will surely visit you. What are you going to do? And bring you out of this land, to the land which he swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob.